Shut up and sit down.
Welcome to the Bricks King podcast, where I'm going to bend your ear about Lego. Review those amazing bricks of plastic and discuss what is new and up and coming around the Lego world. I'm your minifig host, Matt. Let's bet on it. Welcome in, everybody. How are we doing? Lovely episode today. We are talking about the Lego Ideas Seinfeld Studio Apartment set. I've been dreaming of this day to be able to share this with you. I think ever since I became a Seinfeld fan, this was something that I have always dreamt about. I mean, how cool would it be to have this set? Oh my goodness. Anyway, so this thing retails coming August 1st. It will retail for $80. It has 1,326 pieces. Not as many as you probably realize it has, but it does come with 5 minifigs. It does come with some accessories. So let's start off with the smallest of the accessories first. So the first accessory that you have is a stage, a brick-built stage of the comedy club where Jerry Seinfeld does a lot of the intro stuff for the older Seinfeld episodes where, you know, he's just standing there, he's giving his little monologue or whatever as comedy show. It's got the brick built wall in the back. It's got an elevated stage, and then it has a table. It's nice. You get some of that dark red brick. It works for me. I like it. It is something that you can do as a separate display. Sad thing is you only have one Seinfeld. It would have been cool to have maybe 2 Seinfelds, have one in like his more of a non-show attire, but more of like the comedian attire where he's, you know, got a suit jacket on or something like that. That would have been pretty neat. But it's a nice, tiny little build to kind of, again, it goes along with the whole Seinfeld theme from the apartment to the show to just, you know, the fit of it all. All right. So let's move on to the giant build. Obviously, the main attraction is going to be the apartment in itself. Now, there are some things that I really love about it, and then there are some things where, you know, I could have done without. And we'll talk about those. But as a whole, I think you're going to be super impressed with this, especially if you're a Seinfeld fanatic. I mean, how can you not enjoy this? So I want to start off with the build. The build was something very intricate in its own way, but not excessively difficult. So when you start building this thing, it is not on a base plate, by the way. It is on, you know, it is built up kind of like through a plate system, and it's just raised up. When you tile this thing, I know Lego has done some things in the past with some of the modulars and with some other buildings where they don't have any studs for minifigs to stand on or to be able to place things if you want to place things in the future. Well, they do here. They have studs on the ground for a number of things. Some of it is for furniture. Some of it is for other things I guess mainly furniture, but some of it is for just kind of setting the build in general. Because you have so many different angled walls in here, you have to be able to attach them some way, shape, or form. So when you start this build process, you're going through and you are doing tons of tiling. I will say, though, that was probably the most difficult part for me because you are looking at all of these different rows of tiles and there's only so much room to, I guess, screw up. Right. And what I ended up doing is I had 2 little spots where I had a tile. I think it was a 1x4 and a 1x6 in a different spot because you also had some 1x1s and some 1x1 plates that has a stud on it. So you had that kind of stuff where I was like, oh my God, like my eyes were going cross trying to look at this stuff and trying to figure out exactly where some of this went. Ultimately, it took me about 2 minutes to figure out where it was, pull it up, be done, and move along. But if you don't have it correct, your walls aren't going in the right spot, your furniture is not going in the right spot, nothing is going to line up. So it is very critical to make sure you are super hyper focused in the beginning to make sure you get those tiling spots perfect. You don't want your furniture not lining up after you've spent hours, probably about hours, going through the build of the walls and stuff like that just to put down the furniture and be like, oh crap, I screwed up majorly. So on the inside of the apartment, I'm going to start from the right side and go around to the left side. So the right side is how you are seeing it from the TV perspective. Okay. So you start with the kitchen here. The kitchen is probably one of my favorite builds just based on the angles on how this is done, because you have two different angles compared to the angles that are on the other side of the build floor plan. So you are starting out in straight, and they use these hinge pieces in a few different spots in the wall just to make sure that you have some solid building going on, but also that you have the flex in there. You want to make sure that you don't have too many bricks in between without having hinge pieces, just so that everything can be stabilized. So great choice there. So as we're going around here, you have the counter, the reverse L-shaped counter that is out here with the stove. They use a pantograph piece that is on the top, which I really like as the top of your cooktop. There's a teapot and a cup. Could be a letter or a piece of mail that is on the counter there as well. You have a muffin that is on the counter. Muffin. Hey, who gets the muffin reference? There's one already. On the wall, there is a picture. There's a beautiful, iconic picture of George on the chaise lounge without a shirt on in his white undershorts, posing. We all know what episode that was from, the mail fraud episode. It was great. And then you move along, and one of the most intricately, bizarrely built pieces in here has to be the cabinets. So you have the cabinets that are above the sink. The sink is nicely done as well. And they don't use like a standard faucet piece. They use a 1x2 modified plate that has a 90-degree bend in it that has a bar that's sticking out over the sink. Really cool with some small pieces how this stuff is done. I really, really like the idea of it. None of this stuff functions. You can't open cabinet doors. You can't, open the fridge and stuff like that. It's too small of a scale to be able to do that. So if that's what your hope is moving in, buying this and being able, it's too small of a scale. It would have to be scaled up at least twice as large to really be able to get the feel of that, which then you lose the minifig scale and it kind of becomes a moot point at that point in time. However, you have the same kind of condiments that Jerry has in his cabinets, kind of the same kind of idea that is going on in there. So I do like the way those are done. Now, what is interesting with these is they are built in. Some of them are built into the cabinet frame assembly. Some of them are not. Some of them are recessed into the wall behind. They're actually built into the wall, which is a bizarre assembly in its own right, but it is absolutely beautiful in the way that it's done, because it really gives you that depth of what is in the cabinet and how things are placed and stuff like that. And aside from, maybe it's not the correct thing or whatever, if you're really going to get that nitpicky, you're probably going to be like, oh, this is horrible. Why they didn't stay true to what was in the show? Well, obviously you can only have so many different printed pieces or stickers. Or are you really going to try and put a sticker on the side of a 1x1 plate? No, that's why they print that stuff. There are no printed 1x1 plate pieces on the side print on the pieces there, but they do have what is supposed to be like some orange juice or some kind of cereal or something like that is in a cabinet. That is a printed piece that is in there, but that's it. So moving along to the bottom, you have a really nice microwave build. I really like the way this is done. There's a printed keypad here. Even the paper towel dispenser was kind of a unique way that it was done. I was not really expecting that. They use a candle piece. You know what I'm talking about. It has the little bar that sticks out of the end, and then it has a receptacle for a bar on the other end. They did this in white here, and it is clipped in, and there's another clip there, but the clip is not used to hold the other end because there's no bar. So it just works. It looks really nice the way that is done. You do have some detailing texture on the front of the cabinets in Jerry's Little Kitchen because they are they stick out slightly, maybe like a half a plate thickness out. And it's really done well in the way that is kind of built in there. It's a really cool build. The small stuff in this was really intricately built in the sense that although it may not have been the most difficult thing, the tiny amounts of pieces and the tiny pieces that were used to achieve these builds was just really, really, really well done. Even better than some of the modular stuff that I've seen in the past. So moving over to the refrigerator, you have the refrigerator here, and the refrigerator is a piece that is just kind of clipped into the wall. It uses There's some Technic bricks that are on the backside with some pins, and that just, 2 studs hold it to the wall. But it is really nice. It is full of stickers. We'll get to the references here in a minute. And then up top, you have your cabinet that is recessed into the wall as well, which is another great design, another cool way that it is done. And it is a sideways build. And here's the other thing. The things in this cabinet, because it does have a glass front as well, these things can move around. So depending on how you move your model around from point A to point B, those things can move around. So you can either spread them out, shake it and spread those things out, or you can have them one side to the other. I like that. That is neat to just be able to see that extra little bit of detail. I know it's not a big thing, but it's just different. So moving down to the fridge. Also, I forgot there are 2 stools that are brick built that are here along for the counter for, your guests, obviously for Seinfeld's guests to sit on. So down to the refrigerator. Pretty simple, large build. They use some really big tiles that are on here. The 2x6 tiles on the sides, 2x4 tiles. And then you have some stickers. You have a pair of stickers on the side of the fridge that has the oven mitts, the cat and the cow oven mitt. And then you have a sticker just above where the water and ice dispenser parts of the refrigerator would be, which I guess is supposed to be kind of like your freezer. And, well, you have Superman, of course. Why would you not? You have Yada. Who doesn't know the Yada reference from that season? There's a little list there, but there's nothing specific on it. It's just a plain looking list. You have some other stickers and stuff on the other side of the refrigerator door, but you do have a picture here of a sports car. You have the number 2 Schmoopy, who we all know that episode. That is always a good one. I'm going to pull this thing out here. I'm having some difficulty looking in here. You have Monk's Cafes, coffee shop. There, I guess it's supposed to be like a menu that's there. You have a picture. I can't remember who the picture is of the old guy with the glasses. It's not Uncle Leo. I don't think it's Dad. I don't know. Now I forget. I cannot remember. However, really cool. There's another few Yada stickers that are there. I really like the way that is done. It's just fun. All those little things that take you back throughout the show. You start building it, and then you get to the sticker parts, or you get to the brick built things that you remember seeing in the show, and you just start laughing like I did. It really takes you back. So then moving along over here to the door, the main entry door, obviously into the apartment, you have stickers that are on the side of the door for the intercom, the buzzers and stuff like that. So you have that. The door sticker is interesting. We've seen full door stickers before. This is a very detailed door sticker. It has both locks, obviously the chain lock, the deadbolt, the actual key lock. So you have that. The door, however, it does open in, so that's a big thing. And then on the reverse side of the door, so on the outside of the door, it has 5A, which is Jerry's apartment number. It is another door sticker, which is nice, which leads you into the hallway. And across you can see Kramer's apartment door, which says 5B on it. So it's a nice little area to, kind of recreate scenes or whatever. It's really going to be difficult to be able to get any kind of pictures taken down in there unless you have a super tiny camera, or, you can manage to maneuver something to make it look right. I don't know how you do that. I'm not a photographer, but you can do that as well. So I'm going to close that up. One of the things that I forgot to mention here, right at the edge of where the wall is for the refrigerator and the angled wall is for the door, they use a bunch of those candle pieces that are stacked on top of each other and attached to the top of the assembly to give it that rounded feature. Because what happens is you have numbers of plates and bricks that are coming together on those angled walls on that obtuse angle, and you have a lot of empty space there. Well, Lego designers don't really have any Lego bricks that they can throw in there unless they create a specifically angled brick at some point in the future. I don't know how you could do that with cheese wedge pieces. Pretty sure you couldn't. Maybe you could. I don't know. Anyway, regardless, that is basically a space filler, and it's a really nice space filler as well. So then we are moving along over to, if you are looking straight on from the center of the apartment, I'm going to start at the front and work my way back. So at the center part towards the front of this, there are exclusive prints in here. You have prints that are for the rug that are in front of the couch and the chair that Jerry has in his apartment. On the coffee table, you have a telephone. Of course, it's iconic. Jerry's telephone is always ringing. And there is a printed keypad on a cheese slope there. There's a printed cola can, a printed top to a cola can. You have a table that has a lamp. But here's what I found interesting. The chairs, the sofa, the dining room chairs, all of that stuff has feet on the bottom of it. And by the way, the chair and the sofa, sorry, I'm getting way ahead of myself here. I'm looking all over the place. They both are in that lovely, lovely green color that we all love. What is it? Do you know? Sand green, of course. Duh. The sand green really complements really well here. But the printed pieces that are in the center of the rug, they're 1x2 tiles, and they just have this kind of design of a rug that, you would think of where you have different rows of upholstery, I guess, that is going through a rug. I'm thinking more of like a wool rug or something like that, a heavier, thicker rug or whatever. Anyway, they really look nice. Those are diagonal. So it really shakes up the texture and the interior design of this, which is really cool. But back to the chairs and the sofa and stuff like that. They have 1x1 round plates on the bottom with a hole in the middle. But here's the thing. They're supposed to be the feet of whatever furniture that is, but they are not the attachment point of the chair. Or the sofa. They have no attachment whatsoever. The attachment pieces that are used are on the bottom side, and they either attach via a plate, or in some cases, the chairs actually do attach into a recessed plate or a tile that is on the floor, on the main floor that you did in the beginning of the build. Really creative idea here. But essentially the chair is just floating on top of these pieces. The chair is really nice, and I really love the couch. I was hoping for like the white couch. I'm thinking like the Poppy peed on it, that kind of couch. The dining table that is behind the couch is actually on a swivel. It can rotate around, which is kind of bizarre. I didn't quite expect that. But there are some really nice brick-built chairs that are attached here. You can pick those up. They are simply attached by two little studs there, or studs that are in jumper plates. So you can easily remove those. Not a big deal if that's something you want to do. And just kind of readjust things, remove things, and do whatever. So moving back even further, we're moving back to the cabinet that has Jerry's stereo. We all remember the stereo. That's from the same mail fraud episode, that kind of thing. But he's got some books and some things that are up on his shelf. He's got the statue from season 1 that was stolen, right? We have the radio print for the outside of his stereo, obviously. And down below at the very bottom, which I wish it was higher up. Obviously, you don't want it to just be the focal point, but it would have been really cool to have it a little bit higher up to be able to see. You have a printed piece that has Fusilli Jerry, or not printed, a sticker piece that has Fusilli Jerry on it. Oh, that was that was great. And then you have another piece that is there, another sticker. And it says Prognosis Negative. Prognosis Negative is the movie that Kramer was watching that, where he said, Jerry, I want you to sign my will. I want you to pull a plug if I'm ever in a coma. And then he finds out that you can come out of a coma. That was great. It's classic Kramer, right? So that is a pretty cool little bookcase that they have going on there. Just to the right of that, you have I'm going to call it like a floor heater that is on the ground. I'm not really quite sure what this is supposed to be specifically. But as you move beyond that through the doorway, which leads you to the bathroom, so you have your doorway, and then you have there's a light that is hanging down. I really like the way that is done. They have a green bicycle hanging on the wall, which you can just make out just like you could in the show. They have a picture of a bridge that is on the back. That is obviously printed. That is not anything new that we haven't seen before. And then they do have a sticker that goes to the bathroom doorway that does have a door, but it leads to nowhere. It leads out to the back of the stage. And then obviously Jerry's bedroom is non-attached, non-existent in this case. But the idea is there. The main scene is all here. Something else that I wanted to point out, there are 3 of these that are on the wall. So there are little decorations that are on the wall in Jerry's apartment, just little ornate things that are on the show. And I guess this is maybe to do with the architecture of the building or something like that. There's probably a deeper reference there or relevance there that maybe I'm not quite hitting. But these are the 1x1 plates that are flat on one side, and then they have the curve on the opposite side. And they basically look like a shield icon to a certain degree, right? Think of Nexonite shields, but rounded and smaller. And those are just attached via a jumper plate that is attached to the wall. So you have those there. Again, detail, texture, just a different feel to it in general. And on that same note in texture, here's something else that I wanted to touch on. So on the left side, mainly on the left side, and then the front of the cabinets, you have those grill pieces, the 1x2 bricks that have the grills. They have the lines that go straight across and then up and down, right? You can take your finger and you can run your finger across it. You know what I'm talking about, right? So you have those down on the lower section of the apartment because there is a certain level around chair rail level. Say chair rail 10 times fast. I don't think I could do that. However, as you move up, then it becomes white and then you have some more accent around the top. But it's nice to have that there. More things, texture, detail, it all works out. All right, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be back in a moment to finish up and discuss the rest of this Seinfeld stuff. So as we continue to move around to the left side, you have the niche where Jerry's computer is and all that kind of stuff. This is another one of my favorite parts. So you have what is, I guess, supposed to be either the wastebasket or like a shredder that is there. I think it might be a paper shredder right there on the corner. But you have Jerry's computer stand. You have the radiator that is in the corner, which is really nicely done. I really like the way that looks. It just adds more detail to it. And the way that it is built into the wall is really cool as well. You have his computer screen, and on the computer screen, there is a sticker, obviously. It says Vandelay Industries, latex goods. We all know that. There's a little mouse that is there. And then a mouse, not a computer mouse, not like a squeaky cheese eating mouse. And then you also have your brick built light that is in there. Above that, you have a picture of a baseball player. Now, I asked Crystal, who was one of the graphic designers, about this. So you'll have to wait and see what she says about it. But I'm going with this as Keith Hernandez. This is a picture of a baseball player. I know there was one in Jerry's apartment. I'm saying this is Keith Hernandez. There has to be a Keith Hernandez reference in there somewhere. I'm calling it with this one. So it works for me. And then you have Jerry's chair. His chair is attached to the floor, so it's not free moving. If you want to make it free moving, obviously you can, but then it's just going to be all over the hot mess place. You have the Commando 8 air conditioner unit in the window, which is awesome. The Commando 8 air conditioner. There is a there is a sticker that is on the back that says Commando 8. On the front, you have a keypad, that kind of thing. I guess you're programming it or whatever. I really like the way this is done. This is probably one of my favorite little details that is in here because we all know what happened in that episode with this thing falling out the window. If you're a Seinfeld person, you're probably like, I have no idea what you're talking about, man. Either way, it was really cool. And then on the back side of that, so across from the computer desk, there is only one thing that is on the wall, and it is another sticker. It is on the 2x3 tile, and it is a picture of the Kramer. The Kramer! Of course, how could we forget about the Kramer? The Kramer. I love the Kramer. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I mean when I say the Kramer. If you don't, what I'm referring to is there's an episode in there where Kramer has his portrait painted by one of Jerry's girlfriends at the time, and then it is sold to an older couple. It is perfect. It is a great Lego version of what it's supposed to be. So moving back out of that little niche area, there's only one other little wall that we have to talk about here. There is a bookshelf case type deal on the floor down below. It is only attached by one stud that is on the floor when you do the original design process. Nice little pieces as far as color put together to make it look like there is something there. And you have some makeshift drawers. Obviously, they don't open. There's a picture, though. Obviously, these last two are stickers as well. You have a picture of Uncle Leo. Who doesn't love Uncle Leo, right? And then next to that, you have a picture of a convertible. Now, this convertible, do you recall Jerry's car in the episode at the golf clubs where his mechanic gets all crazy and decides to take the car and he's driving away with it, and then Kramer and Newman are trying to make money by taking cans to Michigan is what they're doing in the postal truck. Anyway, if that's not the exact reference, that's what I'm going with. I'm going with the sports cars from that episode, so it works for me. But as a whole, I really like the way this thing is done. It is a very interesting little time capsule of Seinfeld mixed all in one. Brent did a really good job. The design team did a really good job as far as all of the little details, all of the references to the show and stuff like that. That is awesome. Across the top, everything is tiled, so it is nice and smooth, just like you would kind of see with a modular style, except there's no studs at all that are sticking up. There are a few clips sticking up because they are holding on to some bar assembly pieces that have light assembly pieces. Here's what I have found. The lights automatically fall down due to gravity and their weight. They are nicely built. In my opinion, they are I don't like these. I would rather them not be on here. I've actually thought a lot about taking them off and just replacing the 6 pieces that are there, the six clip pieces, and just putting white tiles in there instead, just because I don't really like the look of it. And then it hangs down, and they don't hang down below the doorways or anything like that. But again, gravity sucks them down over time, and it just doesn't feel right. If there was a way to light them, maybe I could get behind that, but that is my only thing that I'm really not that into as far as this set goes. It was something, I understand why you do it. I completely understand that. But in my opinion, it wasn't needed. I know what it's trying to convey. It just felt like it was too much of a studio feel. And again, the idea that the lights fall due to gravity just was a big problem for me. So now we have to move on to the minifigs, and the minifigs are really well done. I'm going to start with my least favorite and move on to obviously my favorite here. Elaine has to be my least favorite. I do like her print that she has on her torso of her, she's got a shirt that's underneath her jacket that is there, her suit jacket. Her hair is okay. I think this is probably the best that LEGO could have done for her hair without making a super new mold. It's okay. Her face, however, is kind of like a mix between the bad lady, Bellatrix, I think it's Bellatrix in Harry Potter, and like a LEGO city character. It just doesn't convey Elaine to me. Like when I saw this between the hair and the face, I thought Bellatrix immediately. That's immediately what came to my mind. She does have 2 faces. She has a happy face, and then she has a kind of like an irritated, ticked off type face. She is holding an accessory though. She does have I don't know if this is exclusive or not. It might not be. She does have a minifig head here that is clear, and it does have a fish with some 3 bubbles on it. Holding it. It's supposed to be the goldfish in the bag from, I think it's season 1 when they are lost in the parking lot. As a whole, I do like Elaine's print. She does have some on the back. It is nicely done. It is well chosen. I'm just not a big fan of the face. I can't unsee Bellatrix as soon as I see her. The next one we have would definitely have to be Jerry. Jerry's hair is funky. He is funky. I do like it. It does fit Jerry. It definitely fits early Jerry Seinfeld in the show. He's wearing a blue shirt, some nice detail to that. He has some good printing on he's dual-faced as well. He does have good printing for his faces. They got his smile line that is in there. His other smile line, I guess you could call it, across the forehead. I really like the way that is done. I do see Jerry here, especially with the hair. And then on the back side of it, you have kind of like a a confused, confuddled Jerry Seinfeld, like, huh? What are you talking about? Not so much concern, just kind of like a, what did you do, George? That's how I can see that. That's, I guess, as best as you can describe it. He also does come with a microphone, so you can use the microphone, put it in his hand, put him on the stage, whatever you want to do. What I was referring to in the beginning when I was talking about the stage was it would have been great to have, even if they just had a swappable torso, because the legs are black. There's nothing printed on the legs. So if you had a black torso that had like a printed jacket on it, where you could just swap the head onto the new torso, swap the legs onto the new torso, dude, yeah, that'd have been awesome. They do it with hair pieces. Let's do it with a torso. Add a few dollars on. We can do that. All right, my next one here is Newman. I love Newman as a character. He just cracks me up. So you have an interesting print that is on his torso. Obviously, he's wearing his male uniform. I really like the way that is done. He's carrying a letter as his accessory in his hand. His hair is great. It's Newman hair through and through. His prints are really well done. They are beautifully done, actually. He's kind of got the Jerry kind of, I'm going to get you, Jerry type devious face. And then on the backside, it's more of a frustrated / irritated / confused / devious. Mix them all into one type face, because his lips are closed. His brows are kind of furrowed up, and like he's thinking about he's going to be doing something that he probably shouldn't do. So there's that. The next one here is George. I will save you what you are about to hear from the graphic design team about George, but I will go through George on my own right here. George is in a red jacket. We've seen him in the red jacket many times. He has the underside print of his plaid that is supposed to be like his plaid shirt. He's in plaid a lot throughout the series. He does have that printed hair that is up here, the print on the hair, which his, bald and stuff like that, obviously. It feels like the hair is lacking something, because if you look at George's hair throughout the series, even from first season to the last season, he does have a little bit more hair up there. I don't know how they could have conveyed that any better than what they did. So I guess it's okay enough. It still gets a point across. However, it does look like it's a little bit too high on his head, just because, it's slightly different color from the minifig head to the, what I'm going to call like the scalp of the hair. So it makes it look like he's wearing a hair hat, just like in the one episode, but it looks like he's wearing a hair hat. He does only have one print on his face because his hair doesn't come far enough down in the back. But what he does have is he does have that standard George face. He's got his glasses on, obviously. He's got one brow up, one brow kind of in an angle and a downward, between angry, between frustrated, between just typical George. If you know anything about George Costanza, can't stand ya, right? You know how he is. He's always got that resting, frustrated face. He's not got RBF, but he's got a resting, frustrated face. It's always something. So his accessories that come with him, he comes with a fishing rod, of all things, a fishing pole. What? You're saying, what? That is so dumb. If you're not a Seinfeld fan, you don't get it. And then he also comes with a loaf of bread, because we go back to, I want to say it's like 92, 93 maybe. And it is the episode where they are going to eat dinner at George's in-laws' house. He is going to go eat dinner. He's going there. And Jerry bought a marble rye, or stole a marble rye, and said, well, how are you going to get it up there? Well, George has a fishing rod, and he puts the fishing rod out the window, and the line goes down the window, outside, and Jerry's hooks it up or whatever. And then he starts reeling it up. And then, that he's caught in a situation at that point in time. So I love it. It's a great callback to the show. You could not have had better, aside from maybe having a letter as well, when Susan died because of licking the poison envelopes. Aside from that, I don't know that there could have been anything more that was really iconic than that with George. So then we move to my favorite character. We move to Kramer. Kramer's hair is perfect. I love it. His face, he's got the happy-go-lucky Kramer face, and then he's got the aloof face that he has printed. I really like the way this is done. And I must say, his hair, I've gone through this a few times, and between feeling it and looking at it, his hair feels more matte tone color than anything. It is brown, obviously, but it just feels more matte. Maybe it's due to all the texturing that is in the hair, which is fine. I'm not complaining. It just feels like that to me. Maybe I don't have any direct light source on it, but it works. His print is interesting as well. I did ask about this, and you guys will have to wait to hear about this, but he is wearing his brown jacket, of course, and then he's got the shrimp. The lobster shirt that is underneath a white shirt. The white could have been a little bit more white, but I'm not going to complain. And then it's got red lobsters all over it. He does not have any print on the legs, but that's not a problem in my opinion. So moving forward, here is what you are getting for accessories for Kramer. He has a pretzel, a big pretzel that he's holding in his hand from the episode of These Pretzels Are Making Me Thirsty. And they all try and do their little line on These Pretzels Are Making Me Thirsty. You know, the little, I think, Woody Allen movie that he was in. Then he is holding a book. Of course he's holding a book. It is the coffee table book. There is a sticker that is on the outside here that says coffee table book, which is... Oh, God, I love it. It's so great. It even has pictures of coffee tables. On the inside, it has something on the inside, another sticker that says Cosmo Kramer, giddy up. It's got a picture of him in there as well. So those are two of his accessories. And then the last one here... The last one here is just great. It is a Festivus pole. Festivus for the rest of us. If you all know what I'm talking about, if you are a Seinfeld person, you get this reference. So those of you that don't, here's what it comes back to. Festivus was a holiday that was created by George's dad when George was a kid, and they give this whole backstory to it and whatever. So instead of celebrating Christmas, they were celebrating Festivus. And the pole... just an aluminum pole was on a stand, and it was it was their thing. Instead of a Christmas tree, they did an aluminum pole, and they decorated the aluminum pole, I think, or something like that. I can't remember specifically that part. However, it's great. It's awesome because all I can think about is Kramer with the Festivus at that point in time in the year. That was the bakery episode. Man, there's just so many different things that tie to this, and I loved it. I love it. It's perfect. So nice little details to be able to get in here. Nice little accessory pieces that really complement minifigs, that really take you back. As a whole, I loved this set. I think for $80, you are getting a unique building experience. Even if you're not a Seinfeld fan, you are still getting something that you might enjoy. If you don't want the minifigs, fine. You might enjoy this. I'm not a Friends fan. I did have fun building the initial, the coffee shop, coffee house, whatever you want to call it. I had fun building it. Friends isn't my thing. It adorns my wife's shelf in her office. So there's something that you can do with it, right? There's always something you could do with it. If you're a Seinfeld fan, you are going to go gaga for this. This is probably one of the most intensively thought out, and not that other Lego sets aren't, but this was one of the most intensively thought out, critically designed sets between the tiny little pieces that were used to get these builds, these unique builds, the stickers to be able to complement the decor chosen for the apartment. There's so many little things in here that really sell this set hard, especially as a true Seinfeld fan. I'm telling you, you're gonna go through and build this thing, and you are going to sit there and laugh for about 30 seconds, 45 seconds at something. The Schmoopy, the Festivus pole, all these things you're going to giggle about, and it's going to make you want to go do a few different things. To me, it made me go and seek out some of the old Seinfeld episodes that are still rerunning. They're constantly in syndication. I went and I watched those. I went back, and I'm always watching Seinfeld, when I get bored or something like that. I have some time. but you go back and watch it, you replay things in your brain. I have probably seen every single episode at least a dozen to 20 times minimum, just because I love Seinfeld that much. It's just something that makes me laugh. And I know line for line, basically majority of the episodes, which is kind of nuts. Anyway, so getting back to my point, you're going to sit there and you're going to giggle and laugh. My wife was like, what are you laughing at? I'm like, you don't get it, because she's not a Seinfeld person. You don't get it unless you're building the Festivus pole or the day, the Elaine's goldfish accessory. You go back to that, or the coffee table book. The coffee table book episode is iconic when Kramer's on the Regis and Kathy Lee show and he spits out all over top of them. I told you this guy is bonkers. It's just, man. All right. So aside from my bias, I think it is a good set. I told you, I don't really like the lights that are on top. I will almost certainly remove those. I left those on just to be able to review it, but I can tell you, I just am not a big fan of them. You could leave them on. You could not. They don't do anything for me. No one's really going to see it. So it's not like I have to have it in its entirety. I want it for me. This is going to be the tiny little thing that I adjust to make it better for what I want. They are a number of pieces that are used to be able to make those lights as well. So, there's always that part of your brain as somebody that is looking at things in more detail, like, well, what if you could do this? Or what if you could do that with that piece count? Well, you could have done other things. You could have had something else in there. Maybe, maybe not. But either way, it's a really cool set. And I think it's worth it for $80. So there is that in mind. Well, I am going to close out this episode. Make sure you follow the next episode, because that is where you are going to get to hear from Crystal, one of the graphic designers, and you are going to hear, not only are you going to hear her passion, but you are also going to hear how much really went into deciding all of these little things, like the faces and the attire that they're wearing and all of the other little details for stickers and stuff like that. Because let's be honest, there's so many different references. You probably could have stickered up that entire apartment. So with that said, I'm your minifig host, Matt. Let's pout on it.